Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to Putting Two and Two Together. If you're tuned in, love, respect, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And make sure you go tap into that last episode. I know it was a Christmas theme episode, but there was definitely some beautiful moments that I talked about there that, some takeaways for sure. So, moving on to episode 2. Let's get it, man. Happy New Year. Happy New Year 2026. I wish everything. I wish everything for you guys. Any goals that you guys have, I want you guys to succeed in them. And it's that simple. I mean, anybody who's out there putting their mind to something, that's huge. And I respect the hell out of that. So more life 2026. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. It's gonna be a crazy year. I could already feel it in the air, man. I could already feel it. I'm like, there's some speculation going around. Like, okay, is this gonna be the new 2016? Is this gonna be the new 2016? And I was looking back, y'all. I was looking back on what made 2016 so special. Let's talk about it quickly. First of all, the swag. That word swag. I know it's not used anymore. It should be. Justin Bieber tried to bring it back with his last two projects there that were actually really spectacular, really great projects. If you really tune in, when they first came out, I wasn't really the biggest fan. I just don't know if it was where my headspace was at, but like I listened to them heavy. It's really spectacular, and it's been on my rotation heavy for sure, for sure. So swag, you should go check out those projects and come back and let me know what you think about those projects. But yeah, let's talk about the word swag. Swag, it meant something in 2016. It meant something. It meant to be free, to express yourself. You know what I'm saying? I look back and I think about those Old Bay hats when everybody was wearing Old Bay. Everybody had their little Vans, little skinny jeans. It was a wave. It was a wave that didn't just start in 2016, though. If you really go back and look, 2010 from the New Boys, it continues on. There were so many things that kept 2016, or 2016 reached a peak because the years leading up to it. And you could kind of see it, right? Skinny jeans, you had different colors, skinny jeans, the dances, the reject, the jerk, dudes was doing the cat daddy, SpongeBob. If you really look back, it was like an elevator, like until it hit 2016 and we was able to combine everything. Then you got the whip, then you got the nay nay, the dad. Like there were sayings too. Dudes were saying, "Damn Daniel, boy." Like everything was kind of iconic. You know what I mean? And obviously we're not doing that now because, and we'll get into why people aren't as expressive anymore, but there definitely was a time where everybody was on the same wavelength, I think. Let's look back at the trends. Let's look back at the trends of 2016, man. Let's look at the Harlem Shake. Remember when dudes was getting all up, getting antsy, getting excited just to do silly dances? Like that's exciting to me. I don't know about you guys, but there's no way we're doing that as a 2026. It's just no way. We were doing the Black Beetle Challenge. That's when Ray Shrummer, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but they had us on the trend. Where remember we was doing a freeze. We go back in time and look at Black Beatles in and sit, and then everybody would freeze. That was poetic, man. And you can kind of see where I'm leading to because it was a combination. It was a group effort. Like the trends, bottle flip. Remember bottle flip? Like everybody was trying to do it. It wasn't just one person was trying to start their own wave. It was no, this was the wave and everybody was surfing on it. Everybody was going with it. There was a certain style and everybody was trying to match that style. And low key 2026, like, let's bring that back. Let's bring that back. Someone starts a wave, let's hop on a wave. Let's hop on a wave, surf on a wave, then get off. And then there's a new wave. I know everybody wants to be different, which is cool. You could really start your own wave, but if your own wave's powerful enough and we respect it, let's give it a try. How about if I see someone doing something dope, I might copy that shit. And I've talked about this before about how when people are doing dope shit, why is it a bad thing to want to try and be them? Like, why is that a bad thing? I don't know. We do that with our heroes all the time. Like, for me, growing up, basketball, I wanted to be Kyrie Irving so bad. I wanted to be Kyrie Irving so bad, man. Like, I used to go to the gym and just try and like mimic him every day. Damian Lillard, I wanted to be him. I used to try and shoot from deep. Even though I was airballing and shit, I used to want to try because when people do dope shit, you acknowledge it and you try and go out there and do it for yourself. Even with this YouTube shit, I see other people having success from it and I see great personalities and I see great things coming from the social media space. Let me hop on that wave. Let me give it a try. And 2026, y'all, we are trying shit. Let's stop. Let's stop telling everybody, oh, you're corny for doing that. Oh, that's not cool. Let everybody be expressive. And when people are expressive and it hits, yo, say congrats to them. I want to talk about why people may be, uncomfortable, especially men, why men may be uncomfortable to do things and be themselves. But first, let's talk about how the rappers are saying fuck the streets. So 21 Savage comes out and says fuck the streets. Here's my thoughts. I think 21 Savage shouldn't be the one starting that wave. And I know, I just said, let's start our own wave. That I don't like. I don't like that because 21 Savage just came out with his album, What Happened to the Streets? And you was rapping street. Like, to me, it's quite confusing when you say F the streets, but your album is a bunch of street music. And I honestly think he's saying that because he knows he's not the 21 Savage that he used to be, which is okay. I think that for this 21 Savage project, I was looking for a little bit more creativity, but instead, I got something that, we're real familiar with. And that's okay. That's okay that 21 Savage did that. But at the same time, you can't you can't put down what you are because then it's like, well, what credit does your music have? Your music doesn't have as much credit because your album is about the streets. So to me, I was quite confused and I was quite baffled when I was listening to the album. I was like, man, I really don't know where this guy's head is at. You know what I'm saying? I want to dive deeper into the F the streets conversation because there's a whole wave. A lot of rappers are jumping on this wave saying F the streets, F the streets. We don't care about the streets. Rappers like, G Herbo. I've seen a couple other rappers mention F the streets. But to me, it's always been F the streets. I've never been a fan of real murder music. I've always been a fan of being able to express what the streets have done for you and the vulnerability and the trauma that the streets has on you. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of rappers who were able to express themselves and express the streets in a real creative way. Obviously Kendrick Lamar comes to mind. G Herbo has an album, PTSD, that's very expressive. Obviously, Jay-Z has come from the streets and kind of educated us about how to beat it. I'm not a fan of rappers that can't express themselves and just talk about how dangerous they are. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna do this to your family. Don't play with me. I'm dangerous. The sound could always be good on any type of album, any type of project. The sound can always be great. The message, that's where we have issues. For me, rest in peace, King Von. I never really liked King Von. Never really liked Pop Smoke, rest in peace. Some of these dudes that kind of don't really have as much expressiveness to their music, I've never really been a fan of because I'm just not really getting anything from it. And that might sound like, oh, here goes Unk, here goes Unk, but that's just my opinion. I like music where obviously there's bars, because that's what rap is, but then there's the reflective part of the music that actually makes you think, you know what? I've never been in this position. That's a tough position to be in. This is why you're that way. That makes me feel a certain way. Not when you're talking about killing, those bars every once in a while are okay, but I personally have never been a fan of those. So I think 21 Savage saying F the streets, it's not a good look for him because he's the rapper that talks about killing. He's Slaughter Gang. We known him, tattoos for on his face. We know him for that. So you can't flip the script. You can flip the script if your project is going to be different, but his project wasn't different. So to me, I'm there like, well, that was weird. That was confusing. But just my personal opinion, I think 21 Savage, if he were to switch lanes, that would make more sense. If he were to go into more of like a reflective, bag, that would make me appreciate him more. But as of right now, I don't know where I stand with the narrative. I think a lot of rappers are just coming out to just say it because I guess 21 Savage has a lot of influence right now and he's doing a lot. He's trying to bring the rap community back together. I think it's a good message. I just think it's the wrong messenger. If someone else were to come out and say that, like a J. Cole say, F the streets, oh, that makes a lot more sense because we've seen where J. Cole's head's at. We've seen what the streets has done mentally to a lot of other people around him, right? So them, okay, now we can kind of put into perspective, hey, if J. Cole's saying this, J. Cole's always been talking about F the streets. But last year you was Slaughter Gang 21. You can't just say F the streets out of nowhere. I don't know. Just my opinion. I think when we say F the streets, there's a lot more that we can look at. There's a lot more that we can look at. I was looking at the movie, and I'm always going to talk movies, y'all. I might always talk movies in every one of these episodes, but I was looking back at the movie Boys in the Hood, and let me get adjusted. I was looking back at the movie Boys in the Hood, and I was telling one of my buddies just how important that movie is to the black man, okay? And not more specifically about Trey and Doughboy and their journey. I look at the movie through the eyes of Furious. So Furious, I forgot his name, but that's Trey's dad. Well-known actor. I'm blanking out right now. I gotta find out his name. I'm gonna put it here. But through the eyes of him, what he was teaching these young black men and what he stood for.
Trey, what are you doing? Huh? Oh. Oh, you bad now, huh? You bad. You gotta shoot somebody now, huh?
And, basically, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Boys in the Hood, skip this part. But you come on, right? It's a classic. At the end, Trey, when he was really thinking about spinning back after Ricky got killed, it was his dad in his conscience, man. A dad can really change a young black man's life. And some of the most powerful moments in that movie is when Trey's just talking to his dad. He's talking to his dad about his one of his sexual experiences, you know, how he feels emotionally. And throughout the movie, you feel as if Trey has to play this, he has to try and fit into be someone he's really not. He's really a good guy.
What you do with that stink now? Got something on me?
You had some pussy yet?
What?
You had some pussy yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
When?
What?
When?
But his surroundings are kind of what's making him become what we consider the black man to be, and that's dangerous. We want the black man to be dangerous so bad instead of just expressive and just themselves. But Furious opened the door to allow Trey to just be himself. When Trey comes home after telling Doughboy, let me out. That's an iconic scene though.
Let me out.
Let me out. Like when Trey says that and he comes home and he just cries in Furious's hands and Furious just gives him a hug because Furious understands. Furious knows. That's a powerful, powerful scene, man. And I wish I could get, just a picture of that and just put it on the wall. But it's really special, man. It's really special. Go back and really take a look at that movie. I think that's what makes Boys in the Hood such a special movie. And like I was saying with F the Streets, with the F the Streets conversation, it's about black men being expressive. This dangerous narrative, I'm not for that in 2026, y'all. I'm not for that. I'm not for the dangerous black man narrative. And I think we need more leaders and more mentors in our life to say, hey, look, that's not P. That's not gangster. You going out and polluting society and wanting to be dangerous and playing the narrative that other people fancy. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. We need more Coach Ken Carters from Coach Carter. See how we had those boys in a line making sure, they go into class, making sure that they're stand-up guys. At the same time, I seen this meme though that was like, yo, these boys was giving him hell to get like a C plus. The parents was giving him hell just because the kids wasn't above a C plus. That shit had me crying, man. I'm not gonna lie. But I definitely think that, you know, there's a point where we're gonna have to understand as black men that we need more role models like that. I think of Paid in Full right here. You guys see in the post there, Paid in Full, my man Ace, um, legendary movie, one of the best hood movies of all time. I think of him sometimes and I think about how at the end of the movie where, he wanted this life for himself, but when it all came down to it, got shot in the head. And you know what? I'm spoiling the movie, but he got shot in the head. People he loved got killed. It all came down to he was able to flip the script last minute. And so I know I'm bashing 21 Savage saying that he's not the right guy for this narrative. I think anybody can start the narrative. I do. I just think that 21 Savage didn't do a good job when he released his project. That was still the same narrative. That's my only issue with him. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about latest releases in the theater. I recently went to go watch Avatar, Fire and Ash. Big round of applause to James Cameron for making an incredible trilogy as of right now. I know he wants to do more, But as of right now, the first three movies are pretty solid. Pretty solid. How do I feel about this third installment? It's good. It's good, but I think that I have a lot of the same criticism that it seems the general media does online. I've been seeing that a lot of people say that it feels repetitive, and I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I think it definitely does feel repetitive, but the world, it, I'm invested. I'm invested into the world of Pandora and what's going on. I really like the main character, Jake. I like the whole family dynamic with Natiri. I just like what the movie stands for, and I think when you have a recipe for success, it's always going to be good. And as you can see, the numbers are doing good. Obviously, not as good as the others, but three movies in and you're still doing numbers like that, it's impressive. However, he is putting a lot of money into it, but he's getting it right back. So, first of all, I'll start by saying it looks incredible. It looks amazing. Obviously, everybody's saying that, every reviewer, everybody online is saying it looks amazing. However, that one human character, I can't remember his name right now. I'm going to put a picture of him up. I don't think he looks the best in the movie setting, y'all. And I know that, he's a human in a world full of these creatures, but to me, it just looks weird. And it looked weird in the second one. It looked weird to me in the second one. It's not like I'm coming into this third movie saying that, yo, that looks weird. No, it looked weird to me in the second one. The third one, it still looks weird. I'm not going to lie. And I don't like his character. I don't like his character. I don't think his acting was the best. I know that he was receiving some criticism. I agree. I just don't think his acting was the best. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I know there's a lot of CGI going on there. And me personally, I'm not an actor, but trying to act when there's no other people around you could be complicated. However, I think that his character, I just could do without his character. But I know it kind of bridges the story between Quaritch, Jake, and the whole family. However, I'm just not the biggest fan of his parts in the movie. The movie's 3 hours long. I'm like, damn, if they could cut parts with him, the movie would be much better, in my opinion, my personal opinion. But yeah, the movie's good. I liked the Ash people. I wanted to know a little bit more. That girl was scary. She was intense. Janet was watching. She was like, this girl's pretty intense. Yeah, she stole a lot of the scenes that she was in, and I wanted more. I wanted more. When the movie, that first war kind of happens with the Ash people, very intrigued. I was very excited to see where the movie went. And then we got the Quaritch and his son dynamic that I really do have an issue with that part of the story. I think the rest of the movie is well written, other than the ending, which I'll get to. But my problem with Avatar, my one little problem, because I'm saying that the movie is great. I'm saying that the movie is great. My one little problem with Avatar is that conflict just, it doesn't do a great job with conflict. And what I mean by that is there's no consequences to a lot of these guys' decisions that they make in the movie. Like there's a lot of parts where someone gets captured and someone gets taken, and you're like, oh wow, this is serious. And then an hour into the movie, you're like, well, I guess it's not that serious, or I guess there's gonna be no casualties or no punishment for getting caught or making the wrong decision. I just feel like, oh, everything's gonna be okay because there's three more movies left and we need the main characters. It's like, nah, there is one death in the movie, but it's not major. As the other movie had a big death in the movie, The Way of Water had a big death in the movie, and I was watching like, damn, like That sucks. That's powerful. And I like deaths in movies. I don't know. I'll be the first one to say I like when people die in movies because it's like, man, yeah, it's high stakes. High stakes movies, people need to die. Or it needs to be a creative, very, very, very creative way on how you got out of that situation. But I feel like a lot of the times these movies, it's like, it feels like an episode, and I don't want to say Disney, but it just feels like an episode where it's like, oh, he gets caught today and we're going to find a way to get him back. Or this happened today and we're going to find a way to get him back. I just felt like there was too much of that in the movie, and there was too much times where it's like, oh, they found a way, but they didn't really find a way. I don't know, just my opinion. Going to the end of the movie, I was like, okay, there's going to be a big war. It was word for word the exact same war that happened in number two. And to me, it just felt like I'd seen it before. Not that it wasn't great. I just seen it before because I seen it a couple years ago in The Way of Water. It was the same setting, same place, just with the addition of the Ash people. And the Ash people are not the smartest. I should say they're definitely on some type of drug. Spoiler alert, but they're on drugs, man. They're on some heavy shit. So to me, it just felt like the same war and less casualties. So moving forward and looking to the future, am I excited for Avatar 4? Apparently, there's supposed to be a time jump. Apparently, it's supposed to be on Earth. We don't know. I would like to see it somewhere else. Yeah, I wouldn't like to see it in the same spot that it was in for the last two movies. I would like to see it somewhere else. There's certain themes and elements in the movie that I just gravitate towards. And that's why I really like and appreciate these movies. It's a real family driven movie, real family driven movie. And I like the messages. I think there's a lot of lessons. One of my favorite dynamics in the movie is with Jake and his son. I think there were some powerful moments in the movie with Jake and his son and Jake and his wife. Like those were that was it for me. That's what did it for me. When I was watching, I was like, yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. They nailed it. But when it came to crunch time and when it came to there being action and fighting sequences and all that stuff, that's where the movie was kind of losing me. So um for the most part, not a lot of people can make a movie like that. And that's what I go to right away. Not a lot of people, not, you know what? There's probably nobody can make that movie. Nobody can make what James Cameron's doing. So for that, I have to give him credit. And I have to say that the movie is spectacular. Just the way it looks and just some of the plot lines that are going on in the movie. However, in terms of delivery, I think there's just so much going on in these movies. I've watched it's been 9 hours of these movies realistically that we've seen. And I think that there's so much going on in the movies. And I think you try to handle, certain plot lines better than some of the things that are going on. And you kind of just get mixed up. And I think that's what happened in this movie. However, it's a very strong movie. Would I put it in my top 10? Almost there, but not quite. All right. So moving on with the year 2025 wrapping up, I just want to say there's been some great movies that have came out this year. I really dedicated myself to really reviewing movies and really analyzing movies and having the full experience with movies, going to the theater. This year, I don't think it will look like that as much for me, but at the same time, I will be watching. I will absolutely be finding a way to watch. These are my top 10 movies of the year that I really, really enjoyed. Or let's just go top five. Let's go top five. Number five, This is a tough one. This is a really tough one. I'm gonna do honorable mentions because I really liked and enjoyed Caught Stealing, um, Darren Aronofsky film. Great director, and that movie took me a while to understand, but when it clicked, it clicked. That's a great film. Caught Stealing, yeah, with Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz. Also, I really liked Bring Her Back, another horror movie that was really good. Together, another horror movie. Horror movies just really killed it. If there was a category for movies that definitely, took over the cinema this year, I would say it belongs to horror. But with number five, I'm probably gonna go One Battle After Another, Leonardo DiCaprio. Um, just an incredible film, powerful film. I really enjoyed watching it. 3 hour experience about a dad. Really simple as that. It's about a dad who was once part of something. Freedom fighters, and stuff happens, and he has to protect his child, and it's one battle after another. Number four, I just actually watched this yesterday, but I'm gonna go Eternity with Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen, A24 film. Really great film. I watched this with my fiance, and she was bawling her eyes out. This movie was special, very romantic film. And this is a movie that I don't think a lot of people have heard about, but it's basically, if you ever had a girl before, you've talked about this. Um, Basically, Miles Tellers dies, right? And they go to this place where, you get to pick where you're gonna spend the rest of your life, right? But Elizabeth Olsen first husband dies, and he's been waiting there for 67 years for her. So now she's got to decide who she's going to spend eternity with. Great movie, a lot of feels. If you've been in a relationship, you're definitely going to feel this movie. So, and it's also funny. It's also a funny movie. So it's a feel good movie. It's definitely up there in my top five movies. I would recommend everybody go watch that, especially with your partner. What a great movie. And number three, the third best movie of the year, in my opinion, was, I'm gonna go Weapons. I really enjoyed Weapons. What a great year for horror movies between Bring Her Back, Together. Weapons to me was the top of the cake, the icing on the cake. I just think that it was just so well executed. Like, the story had me intrigued, and I wasn't necessarily scared. I went to go watch it with my buddy. He was terrified, just because the element of not jump scares, because there's not much jump scares in the movie, but the element of not knowing what's going on in that movie is really intriguing. And the way they tell the story in different perspectives, awesome. Awesome. Really liked Weapons. I really liked the antagonist of Weapons, Miss Gladdy. Man, she was an interesting character, and I can see them doing an origin story of her for sure. So Weapons was great. Awesome time. My number two movie, I'm going F1. Brad Pitt, Damson Idris. Incredible movie, man. This movie actually took me away. I went to go watch this movie in Dolby Atmos surround sound. What an awesome movie. Just in terms of feel, I've never really watched F1. I felt like, yo, man, maybe I can get in a race one day. Maybe get in a car and just do a route. Man, that's how I felt. There was so much, the narrative between Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, the young guy, the underdog, and the dude who's done it, been all there, had the glory. What a perfect dynamic. And I'm proud of my boy Damson Idris. Snowfall, I didn't like the way it ended, but those first couple of seasons are spectacular. And I remember when that show just came out, I was telling everybody to go watch it. I was advocating for Snowfall. So great job on his end. So coming in at number 1, I have Ryan Coogler's Sinners. That movie is incredible. And honestly, he's becoming one of my favorite directors. I think he low-key is one of my favorite directors. What he's done for the Black community and what he's put to the big screen has been nothing but incredible. The Creed series, Black Panther, Sinners, I just think that these movies are some of my favorite movies, and they just do such a good job of demonstrating what it's like to be Black, in my personal opinion. I think Sinners, Michael B. Jordan has just been, he's been special. He's been a great actor. Him playing twins was special. The message behind Sinners is what gets to me though, man. Just not contenting to sin, not being one with sin. Because as you see, one night of living in sin could be the end for all. So I know a lot of people don't like the vampire twist. I think letting evil in and vampires have always been cool to me. I like vampires. I think the whole message behind vampires is cool. I think vampires are sick. So that's my number 1 movie of the year. When we look at movies this year, I'm glad to have went to the cinema as much as I did. And I definitely did not take 2025 for granted. With that being said, y'all, I want to say once again, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everybody out there can aspire to do something different and try and accomplish their dreams. I hope that everyone, accomplishes their goals, spends time with family, and just have fun. Let's try and get back to that 2016 era, man. So with that being said, this is Putting 2 and 2 Together, episode 2. If you tapped in all the way, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And click the share button for your boy, man. I'm out here trying to gain a family and trying to build a community. So much love to y'all. Respect y'all. Happy New Year's, y'all. Peace.